Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in once again to the Iron Hour podcast. A bit of a different format this week. We've got one of our, usual guests, Matt. Ben, you've been on, is this appearance number four, I think, now, and four of many. I think you'll be at
Yeah,
double figures
three or
by the
four.
end of the season. Way it's going, mate. So, a bit of a different format this week. Quite a few guests coming up. So, we'll kick off with Ben and we'll just have a chat about Saturday's game, do a little preview on Tuesday's game, and a chat really on how things have been going. So I know you'll have been there on Saturday. I don't think you've missed a game in about 40 years. So what did you think of that one?
I feel like they set their stall quite early on. It was quite obvious what they were trying to do. From the off, they wasted time. They took a minute a throw in, a minute a kick to get the ball back into play. The ball was out of play for quite a lot of time. I was astonished at half time when the board went up and there was only 2 minutes added on because it was out of play for so long. But it was a job that needed doing. It was a maybe a professional job, you could call it. We got the job done. We needed the win. Because Brackley have put a run together kind of out of nowhere. I mean, after the first 10 or so games, they were side thinking, oh, look at Brackley, and it's kind of mid-table, just outside the playoffs, mid-table kind of thing. And they've put one heck of a run together and they're flying.
They are flying. They got a tough game on Tuesday though. They away at Kings Lynn.
Yeah, well, so have we. We've got a tough game as well. It's not going to be easy at Alfreton, is it? And it's probably not going to be pretty, exactly like what it was at home.
No, but looking at the form table, Alfreton have lost five of the last six games and only picked up 1 point in those six games. And that's seen their fortunes do a complete 180. They've gone from playoff contenders to 15th, I think they are now. So an opportunity.
You'd like to think so, but it's a difficult place to go on a Tuesday night. They're gonna make it difficult for us. It's gonna be it's gonna be one of those games where I don't like to see us play that way, but it's probably gonna go down that route of not a lot on the floor. They'll be bombarding our box with long throws and set pieces. It's really important, and it was something that we picked up on Saturday. Just giving away cheap free kicks in the middle of the box, giving teams like Leamington. Hopefully, we don't on Tuesday, but if we give away them cheap free kicks in the middle of the pitch, they can exploit us so much
Mm.
easier. Because although Leamington on Saturday, I didn't really feel like they had that much quality to threaten us. If you're giving teams set piece after set piece, throw in after throw in, they eventually one of them
Something's
might
going to
drop
give.
something. Exactly, yeah, and that's something against teams like Alfreton who do possess a bit of quality from that you worry about. But hopefully, we've got the quality to get the job done there. I mean, it will be a tough game, but again, like I said last time I was on, we've got to go to these places and really we've got to start winning. We've got to put our foot down and start winning because, as you see, Brackley they've gone and won a difficult game. Chester, I know they lost it on Saturday, but you've got to start rolling these wins together and creating a bit of a gap because at the minute it feels like nobody wants it.
Mm. Well, it probably did feel like that for a few months, but I feel like it's heating up at the top now. And actually, that low points total that we talked about needing to win it, it'll probably still be a low total, but I think you'll need a few more than I would have expected a couple of weeks ago. I think you might need 90, 92 points to win the title. What do you think?
What did you say
About
before?
88, I said.
Yeah. So I still don't think
In
it's going to be
fact, I'll
very
tell you what
high.
I said. I said our points total last season would win the league this season, and I'm not sure I think that anymore.
What did we get last season? Do you know?
Yeah, 86 off the top of my head. I'll check that. Live podcast. What can go wrong, baby?
It's
Keep talking, Ben, while I check.
I think yeah, I think I still don't think it's going to be much above 90 that's going to win it. I think it's still going to be around. It's going to be high 80s, but I don't think you're going to go into the 90s.
So
There's
we got 88 last season. 88 actually
80.
got second place. Will be enough.
I think it could be. I mean, there's teams that have to play each other around as well, which they take points off each other. Are Brackley going to go on keep up that run? I think they're 7 on the bounce, maybe. Are they going to keep rolling out wins? If so, then they're going to go and get 90 odd points. It's who can be consistent. If you can consistently keep rolling out them wins, digging and winning 1-0 away at really tricky places, then you might go into the high 90s. But I still think it's going to be.
But for us to get the high 90s, I mean, if we won every game between now and the end of the season, we'd have 99 points, wouldn't we? So for us to get high 90s, we'd have to, say 96. We could only drop 3 points. Here's a tall order. We need a lower points total to win the league, really, don't we?
Well, yeah, and it's like we said, it's probably going to be who can be consistent, who can keep churning out them wins. At the minute, Brackley have been the side that have managed to do that. It was Chester before that. Hopefully, from now until the end of the season, it's our turn and we can kick on and we can go and get 99 points.
Just rolling back a bit, looking at Saturday's game. 2 o'clock, team sheets come out. The absence of Alfie Beeston and Ollie Rose. Let's first touch on Ollie Rose. Was you concerned with his absence, and how well did you think Joe Starbuck did?
It was a bit of a surprise because I know Butler. He obviously alludes to the team in his interview on the Thursdays, and he didn't really mention anything about it. He said that there was pretty much a full bill of health, other than Ross Barrows and Danny Whitehall. So it was one of those where when he wasn't in the team completely, it was a bit of there must have been something there. But I thought Starbuck after the first 15, 20 minutes, he was a little bit shaky. He wasn't really getting up the pitch as much as what I expected him to do. I remember Butler saying he's quite athletic, he's quite good in those areas. So I was surprised after the first 15, 20 minutes. But when he settled into the game, I thought he looked quite comfortable and he did a good job, to be fair. And Beeston is an important player that when he's not in the team, he's a big miss up in any side at this level. I think he's a quality player that has that bit of quality. So hopefully he won't be too long. Hopefully he'll be back on Tuesday night, but it's difficult when he's not in the team because he's a very good player.
Do you think that change in shape on Saturday? So obviously we played with a diamond, and it was a diamond. It was a very narrow
Yeah,
diamond for
it
most
was,
of the
yeah.
game. Do you think that was due to Beeston's absence, or do you think that was a tactical kind of shift for the Leamington game?
I think it would be a tactical shift because I feel Beeston doesn't have to play out wide. I know he played on the right last time he played at home, didn't he? But he could play anywhere, probably anywhere in that diamond, apart from probably holding midfield. But
I don't
yeah,
know. He'd probably do a job there, to be fair.
he's versatile, isn't he? To be fair
Yeah.
to him, I think he's played every position near enough, apart from in goal, hasn't he? So he's he's. I think it probably was just a genuine tactical change. This is how we can exploit them. And did it work? We won the game, so
With
that's
with with that in mind, then, if you think that was a tactical shift for that game, presumably it'll be reversed for this one because we know what to expect from Alfreton. The big units, aren't they? And you want width.
yeah. But you could argue as well that they're going to be a similar kind of side. They're going to be quite direct. So it might be that he wants that solidity in midfield, that bit of height, maybe in there. But yeah, it could be one or two ways. Maybe he wants to change, be flexible for different games. We know the state of the pitch at the minute isn't conducive to any great football at Glanford Park at the minute. So obviously that will probably play a part. I'm not sure what Alfreton's pitch looks like.
It's not as bad as ours, I can tell you that without having seen it.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a beach at Glanford Park at the minute, isn't it? So it's
So,
difficult to play any football.
a question came to my mind when I was driving away from the Attis on Saturday, and I don't know what the answer is, and it's a bit of a naughty question, really, but I'm going to ask you it. Do you think there's a point where, if we make the playoffs, do you think there's a moment in time where the state of the pitch, you would relinquish the home advantage of a playoff tie because it's kind of counterbalanced by the poor state of the pitch? Would you rather play away on a better surface but give up that home advantage?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I feel like at home, you want the playoff games you want to play at home, although we lost last season. Um,
You'd play it
it's
on the moon, wouldn't you, if it was at home?
well, yeah, it's the same for both sides. That's the only thing that you can draw from it. It's the same for both sides. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. So we've
I
just got
guess
to do.
I guess my thinking is when you've got a player like Roberts and other similar skillful players like Alfie Beeston, you want them to get the best out of them. You need to be playing on a good surface. That was kind of where my thinking was going.
Yeah, no, and I don't disagree with that. To be fair, it's a good point. I mean, you saw the kind of football that we played last season. Obviously, the surface was a little bit better then. Um, and at times teams couldn't live with us when we did get it down and we were playing football. But then I feel that maybe this team has possibly got that little bit more know-how about them. Maybe because of the pitch, maybe because of how we've had to play at home as well. Um, I enjoyed the football last season. It was good to watch at times. Um, but maybe we've just got that little bit more,
Pragmatism.
yeah, and just how different ways to win games, which
Mm,
is
that-
for a playoff campaign or hopefully a title winning campaign is what you need. You need to find different ways to win on all different types of surface, which you do have at this level.
well, you do, don't you? You've got your Astro and you've got your beach. So
Exactly.
don't get any more different than that, does it? Let's look at the starting partnership, the starting strike partnership that went ahead on Saturday. We obviously had Chris Ray and Matt Beck. I thought Matt Beck had a really good game. I said, I can't remember if it was the Darlington game, but I took one in recently that I said it was probably his best game for us in recent weeks. I think it might be the Scarborough game actually, but again, I thought he backed that up with a really another solid performance. But Chris Ray was possibly a little bit lacking for me. How did you see it?
Yeah, probably right. And that's why he got probably got I know they said he was injured he's injured, but he got took off at half time because obviously he wasn't at it.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. I thought the same.
Yeah, I thought Beck did a job. He did all right. It was difficult against some big centre halves. I mean, I can only apologise because it wasn't the greatest watch for me because I wasn't feeling very well at all. So I was sort of watching it all, even though it was warm on Saturday. I was coated up, hat over, and I was struggling to be fair. So there's not much for me that I can give to how analytical I can get. But from what I saw, Beck he did all right. Beck did all right, and a couple of nice touches, and he was unlucky really not to have the goal chalked off by the sounds of it by my brother who sits in the Morts down the side. He was up that end, and he said if it was offside, it was by a toenail. So
We got tan in the morts, honestly. That sun coming over was brilliant. Sunglasses in March, I'm all for it.
none for
So,
me, mate. I was coated up. I
well,
felt
no, yeah, you're there like you're in Alaska or something, aren't you, mate? You think it's Darlington away on a Tuesday night again. Just you said you was watching it through your hands, so I'm going to ask you anyway. Carlton looked to be a real point of difference for me on Saturday when he came on. He completely changed the way we played. He his pace. All right, clearly he lacks that little bit of composure. I'm not going to
Mhm.
deny that, but his pace and his ability to take defenders on and just just be a nuisance, I thought, just
Completely
changed the
different
game.
dynamic, isn't he? Completely different dynamic to what really. If you look at the whole of the squad, really, there's not many that go and run on in behind.
No,
Um,
Federa maybe, but
yeah,
obviously Carlton's a lot more physical there. I just think he gives you, look, like I say, he might not be the most composed, but at this point in the season, I feel like he's just coming good and offering us something different.
yeah, and it's that when defenders are tiring. Imagine when you've got Federa and Carlton coming off the bench. It's probably not what a defender wants to see. Somebody that's going to go in and try and exploit the lines behind.
But with that in mind, then, where do you think Carlton's position is in this squad from now until the end of the season and more, looking more kind of sooner at Tuesday night? Do you think he might start? Because I'd chuck him in there.
I thought it was going to start on Saturday. To be fair, I thought it was maybe unlucky not to get the nod on Saturday. I think I would. I think I'd. He gives you that little bit of difference um, from Beck, who's probably going to start. If he decides to go with the two up front, which I probably expect he will do, because he'll want that height from Beck. I I'd probably like to see Carlton start. He just gives that complete difference from Beck. Ray, he has been good, although on Saturday he wasn't at his best. He's physical. He's although he's not the tallest, he manages to be really embroiled in physical battles, and he
Yeah,
wins quite a few flick-ons and knockdowns. So I think he's very good in that. But Carlton is just going to offer you that complete difference. He's going to
yeah.
constantly look to run him behind.
Yeah, it'll come down to how Butler wants to play the game because, like you say, Ray's attributes are in a completely different Venn diagram, aren't they? There's no crossover of those two, in my opinion. The what Ray gives you, it's good, it's great, but he clearly lacks that mobility. And what Carlton possibly lacks in terms of composure and technical abilities, he gives you with pace, mobility, and just hassling defenders in a
Yeah.
different way, in a completely different way.
Yeah,
So
100%. He's one of the most hardworking out there. You can see how I know he's finally got his goals, but he's just desperate to score more, and you can see that in his performances. He I know he only came on for half an hour at the weekend, but he didn't stop running.
no, the name of this podcast this week will probably be Roberts again, Ole Ole, because we he's like a cheat code, mate. We're up against it, and he just makes things happen. All right, it was a penalty this week, but he's something else, isn't he?
He's class, isn't he? We're so lucky to have him at this level. As soon as he put the ball down, there was no doubt in where that he was going to stick it in the net. I had I had 100% faith he was going to stick it in.
Did
And
you? I don't know if I'm a negative guy. I whispered to my dad, I went, "It's gonna miss." He's like,
well,
"What were you talking about?"
the stuff we've seen through the years, I mean, we kind of come to expect someone to like a Cliff Burn penalty at MK Dons in the playoffs.
Do
One
you
of
know
them.
what Cliff did that day though? He obviously skied that penalty, but to kind of make himself look better, he lifted his shirt up so you could see his six pack, and he was ripped as well. Like if you're gonna go down, at least show everyone you're ripped.
Did you think it was a penalty?
I did, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't even close. You can't make contact like that in a box. And actually, I suppose the other side of the argument is there's been more stone wall penalties that should have been given for Beck in recent weeks that weren't. So
Mm.
possibly by contrast, that one was a little bit light, but it was still a penalty all day long. Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Harry Kane winning a penalty. That
Yeah.
kind of play as the ball comes in the box, defenders just can't handle that tall presence and have to get hands on. And then what he did, so clever, he tied his legs in behind so that in order for the play to get any kind of grip on him, he would have to sweep his legs. It's such intelligent number nine.
It was a really silly one from their player there, wasn't it? It was going away from goal. It was going almost going out.
Do you see that contrast with Harry Kane? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. There was a couple of times in where it's where he sticks his leg out, isn't it? There
Yeah.
was a few, yeah, I've seen, and yeah, it's a good point. It was away from me. It was like because I stand to the as you look at the pitch, I stand to the left of the goal, so it was over the other side of me. So I only saw it as I was tiptoeing round.
Looking through
But
your scarf and your balaclava.
oh, literally. So it was one of those where I didn't have the clearest of views, so I wasn't 100% sure at first if it was or not, because we've seen them where players have been hauled down and they're not given plenty of time. So yeah, it's the referee gave it, and then Roberts stuck it away.
It felt like the goal came just in time as well, didn't it? Because 61 minutes, you get a goal then, you're not getting nervous. It's when you enter 70, 75 minutes, you do start thinking it's something's going to have to happen here. And actually, if that very piece of play happens in the 80th minute, it may, I see what you're saying. It's a brave referee to give that penalty then.
Yeah, as well that they were doing everything they could to run the clock down, and it felt like the ball was just not in play. at all. So it was one of those where you're edging towards time ticking on, and if we didn't get the goal, then the the fans would have been frustrated because we expect, especially teams like this, to come to Glanford Park to go and win against. So it was one of those where they were trying to run the clock down. And if you leave it late and late and late, it gives them an opportunity to snatch it, doesn't it?
What it does. Clunan was a standout player for me on Saturday. There was one pass that he did, which was just absolutely out of this world. Where do you stand on the whole Clunan debate? Because there's still a bit of the fan base that call him that crab light for that sideways passer.
He's got his critics, but I've always liked him. You know what you're going to get from him. He's not going to do any well, although there was that.
Listen, this passing range has developed in the last 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know where this has come from, but he's
Yeah,
turning into like a Tony Cruz style ball.
that might be a bit ambitious, but he's he's got that bit of quality. I don't know if it's. I've heard Butler allude to it in his interviews about how Cloonan's job is to win the ball back and give it to better players. So
That's
possibly,
harsh. That is harsh.
yeah, because he's got that quality in him. I maybe that's why he doesn't be as expansive as he could be. Because I've seen him a few times in clips of when he used to play for Kings Lynn. He used to take shots from outside the box, and he used to take free kicks. I mean, when when he held the ball on Saturday, when we got the penalty, my Toby was going, "What is Clunan taking it?" But at Kingsland, he used to take penalties, I believe. So
Yeah.
he's
Did you knew that
got
was a
that quality in
decoy? You
him.
must have known that was a decoy. With
Yeah. Oh
Roberts on
yeah.
the pitch, there's no way Clunan's taking it,
No
is there?
chance. You're not taking it away from him, are you?
No. I'd
But
I'd tell you, mate, I'd let Will Evans have it.
but Clunan he's a quality player.
Yeah, I
I
know. He
think
is.
I think you know what you're going to get from him. I think in the probably last 5, 6 games, he's really shown how important he is to the team.
Mm.
He's a leader of the team, and it really does shine through. I think when he was missing earlier on for them few games, or it might have just been the one game, but he's an important part of the team. I can understand why people are critical of him because sometimes it's like that old age debate of Gareth Barry and all them types of players that pass it sideways and backwards. And I can see it and how that can be frustrating, especially when we're chasing a game. But you need them types of players in your team.
He's a huge contributing factor to the fact that we've had so many clean sheets and conceded so few goals this season. Another factor of that has been clearly our centre backs, and Andy Boyce has been instrumental all season. Now he finds himself out of the squad at the moment because Will Evans has been exemplary in his 3 games that he stepped in. How do you see Boyce fitting into the rest of the season? Do you think he get an opportunity to get back in? And would you put him in for Alfreton?
It depends. They've kept a clean sheet on Saturday. They did the week before as well, so you can't. You're probably not gonna. You're not going to change the side, are you? So it's if
Well, obviously there's the 1-1 draw at Buxton, wasn't there? So there is the one goal conceded in
yeah,
there.
of course, yeah. So I, if you go on the form from Saturday, I don't think you're going to change. I don't think you're going to change the side. Like you say, Evans has slotted into that role really well. I think Coogan gives you that little bit more mobility to cover behind. So I don't think you're really going to take him out. So it's a toss up between him and Boyce. I think Boyce is he wins airily. He's probably the better of the three. But I don't see why Will Evans would drop out. I think he's definitely. They say that they want to push each other, and I think that Boyce now has to be patient. And if Evans slips up, then that'll be his opportunity.
And I agree. Boyce is, as you know, my favourite player, but he doesn't deserve a right just to get back in this team. Will Evans has taken that opportunity, and that's what Butler said all along. If you find yourself out of the squad, when you get your chance, you better take it. It'd be harsh to drop Evans now, I think.
It's the same as well with Starbuck. It'll be interesting to see if he'll stay in the team ahead of Ollie Rose.
My gut says the moment Rose is fit, will come back in. I thought Starbuck was adequate on Saturday, but I'm not necessarily sure. I thought he played as well as what I'd seen some others maybe suggest he did. I didn't think he was poor, not at all, but he possibly didn't look as good as Rose.
I think you could tell he needs games under his belt.
Yeah,
Doesn't he?
there's that element, isn't there? That listen, if Starbucks started 2 or 3 games, maybe he's a completely different player. And clearly, again, we talk about depends what kind of systems you want to play. Obviously, he will have that level of mobility that Ollie Rose probably hasn't got. Obviously, so there's that.
Because apparently he's a centre back.
Yeah, he says he's a centre back. I believe.
He's adamant about that, isn't he? He's adamant he's a centre back.
He's Egwin. Yeah, I tell you what, you're a brave man if you make him number 3 and drop Butts to number 4. I think it'd kick off. Right, before we wrap this one up, Ben, let's have a bit of a score prediction. I will not put you on the spot again and ask you if you think we'll win the league. That would be harsh. But will we win the league? No. How do you think we'll get on Tuesday night?
I'll go 2-1, scrappy game. Beck with 2.
That'd be something, wouldn't it? I think I'm going to go. Yeah, it'll be limbs. Me and you just hugging in our big coats on Tuesday night. I'm going to go 2-1 as well. 2-1 as well. Beck to score, but I'm going to give Carlton the other one. So there you go.
Either way,
we'll take it. Listen, we'll take 1-0 off a arse end in the 90th minute, won't we, Ben?
100%.
Right, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you at Alfreton. Well, the spy in the camp this week is Josh Smith. Now, Josh is a journalist and also an Alfreton Town fan. So thanks for joining us today, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Are you?
I'm not bad at all. I'm buoyed by the optimism of a win on Saturday, but sadly for you guys, it's not the same, is it?
No, not at all. It's been a crazy bad run for Alfreton. I've lost track now of how many defeats in a row. Well, I know there was the odd result in there, but this year since Christmas, really, it's just been a really dismal run for Alfreton. So I don't have that much hope. I know when we spoke last time, I said I thought it'd be 1-1. I think was my prediction, and I wasn't far wrong at all.
No, you were pretty close to the money. I seem to remember you saying don't expect fancy football, and that's what we got that day. But the surface was probably the big factor. At our place, as I'm sure you saw, the surface is not great. It's not the picture those that are listening can see on screen now. It's like Passchendaele, really. What can we expect from the surface at Alfreton? Does it play better?
Do you know what? It's a really good surface. The groundsman's won the pitch of the year a few times for this level. I think when people look at Alfreton and they see the budget and the size of the town and also there is this sort of adage about heath ball and hoof ball and things that are played with Alfreton. They assume that the surface is going to be absolutely atrocious. It's actually one of the best in division. They do a really, really good job on it year in, year out. It's been a tough winter for everybody up and down the country. It's been a wet one, and the pitches, started to struggle, particularly in January and February. But we've had some good weather recently. The pitch is in better condition as well. It will certainly be better than it was in the reverse fixture, I think it's fair to say. If Scunthorpe play on the ground, then they should have a decent game. If they do decide to start trying to hit it long and direct, then it'll be a bit of a slog for both sides, I think. I'm not as confident this time as I was last time. I did say, underestimate Alfreton at your peril, as so many teams have done. But the run they're on, the confidence is so low. And they've come close, don't get me wrong. They've had a few games recently where you look and think, that now they're finally going to do it. And, then they just have this sort of capitulation late on. But the one thing that I learned covering Alfreton for all those years, home and away, was the bigger the challenge, the better that Alfreton were. And I know it might sound obvious in football, they rise to the occasion, but there was this thing for a long time. They were better away from home in bigger grounds because the expectation was that they would struggle. And when they were playing teams that were up at the top and people write them off, they seem to find that extra gear. Part of me, albeit a very limited part of me, looks at that and thinks, will Alfreton really dig in and go for it? But then the other part of me just looks and thinks that it's such a bad run for such a long period of time. It's very hard to see anything other than Scunthorpe United winning this one.
Obviously, I hope so, but I know it won't be the same for you. couple of standout players. Could you pick one for us? I mean, Jed Abbey seems to be doing relatively well with, I think he's got 9 goals this season. But when I did a bit of deep dive on those stats, 5 of his 9 came in August.
This is the thing I was just going to say to you is it's really hard to pick a player because it's been such a long run of defeats. It's very hard to pick anybody out and say they've impressed recently. When they're on it, Jed Abbey, Waldock, are both players that I would look at and say really, really good. Willis in goal is always difficult as well. But I think he's still injured. I might be wrong.
Yeah, it looks like Jake Askew seems to be the favoured keeper at the moment due to the injury crisis. But I've actually not got the name here. But there was a third keeper you'd played as well in between Willis and Askew playing. So it did look, just looking at the stats, like there was a bit of a keeper situation there.
Yeah, he got an injury a while ago. And I gathered at the time it wasn't a short-term thing. And yeah, he's still out. So it's very hard to say. I think Alfreton will probably look to try and make it more of a physical game, and that's where the likes of Abbey will thrive. So I think he's probably a good pick for a player to watch in this one.
What's the mood in the camp with fans for Alfreton this season? Because 15th in the league, considering you made the playoffs last season, and considering as well you were right in the hunt 6 or 7 games ago. You know, when you came to Glanford Park just before the turn of the year, you were a team that was smack bang in it.
Yeah, I mean, Alfreton have got into the playoffs. I think it's 3 seasons in a row. And when I spoke to fans at the start of the season, the overall feeling was this was the best recruitment that they'd had since Billy Heath had taken over the club all those years ago. So there was a lot of expectation in that respect. But what I would say to credit the Alfreton fans is, in my career, I've never met a fan base of fans who are so chill. And what I mean by that is they've always sort of understood where they are. They've always been grateful to be at this level of football. I think when you look at the demographics, you wouldn't expect a town like Alfreton to have a team this high up the pyramid. When you look at the average gates and the budget, you wouldn't expect a team of Alfreton's ability to compete at this level. So the fact that they've actually been making the playoffs consistently, and of course have been in the division above in recent years as well, is nothing short of astonishing. I'm not going to say it's as dramatic as Luton in the Premier League, but it's not far off. It really is incredible. But the fans remember that, and I think in football, fans have short memories. Fans can be very fickle. I can't attribute that to Alfreton fans. I've found them in my time at the club, and I covered the relegation from what is now the National League, back when it was the conference. And I remember at the time, fans were still applauding the last minute of the last game, and we're just saying it's just been an incredible journey to have been up there. For 4 years they did at the time. Fans were just grateful that they'd managed to do that, and they knew it would never last. They knew they would never go up into the Football League. But they just loved being there. And it's been the same in the National League North. Fans, when you talk to them about it, about promotion, say, well, it'd be nice, top level of non-league football. It'd be lovely. But this is a good level of football. They will list some of the opposition. Scunthorpe are in that conversation and say, look at the teams we're playing at this level. This is still very, very impressive. And they will stick by the players. They will stick by the manager. You won't see Alfreton fans kicking off at the final whistle and lambasting their own players and calling for the manager's head. And there's been 1 or 2 people that have spoken to me recently and said to me, do you think it's time for Billy Heath to go? And I was a little bit taken aback that they were even asking the question, but it wasn't a demand. It wasn't I think he should go. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of that. It was more of a, what do you think? And my answer to them was, no, I don't think he should. I think he, over his time at the club, has been incredibly successful. He's a manager who, before he was at Alfreton, had great success elsewhere as well. He's been a victim of his own success, making the playoffs in previous seasons and having that phenomenal start to the season. It now looks like he's doing really poorly. But if this was the other way around, if they'd had a poor start to the season and kicked on, the fans would all be loving life now. So my opinion is no, stick with him, give it another go. One bad season doesn't make a manager. I think he's given an awful lot to the club. I think his recruitment has been brilliant. They've just had a terrible run. And I can't really put my finger on why, but they have.
Yes, it doesn't make for great listening, does it, if you're an Alfreton Town fan? Finally, then, just before you go, Josh, hit us up with a score prediction.
I'm gonna I'm going to go 2-2, and purely because there's just that bit of me that just knows what Alfreton are like. This run's got to end at some point. They do relish playing the bigger teams. There's going to be a bit of arrogance from the Scunthorpe fans, and that's no disrespect to anyone listening to this or any fans. I'm talking that general football arrogance of a win takes Scunthorpe top potentially this weekend. And it's all to play for. Alfreton in this terrible run of form. They're going to come into it. They're going to be in the town excited, looking forward to what looks to be an easy win. And the Alfreton players just seem to respond to that. And I've seen it before, and I can just see them thinking, we've got nothing to lose today. No one's expecting it, but we need to end this run, dig in a little bit. It's all to play for, and they'll and just find that extra little bit. And I can just see them making a bit of a game of it. But I also can't see them winning it because they can't hold on to a lead at the moment. But I can see them nicking an equaliser, and I'm going to be honest. If Alfreton get an equaliser, it's going to be one of those games where yourself and all your other supporters are going to be saying, well, how on earth have we not won that game? It's one of those, I think, where Alfreton will be very lucky to get a point, but I can just see them doing it.
Right, well, our next guests are father and son duo Rob and Eli Ayton. Eli, that online sensation that I'm sure loads of you have been seeing. He goes around interviewing footballers and recently interviewed our very own Ross Fitzsimmons, Ross Barrows, Finn Trimpton, and of course, Danny Whitehall. So it's great to have you both on the podcast this week. How you doing, gents?
Thanks very much for having us. We're doing well.
Good stuff. So, Rob, tell us first about what it is that Eli does and how did it all come about?
So it first came about, obviously, we went to the Euro finals and there was a media company doing a little bit of a quiz with lots of like older gentlemen sort of thing. They weren't doing particularly very well. So Eli kept nudging me sort of thing and tapping me on the shoulder to say, no, I'll smash that sort of thing. So we waited in the queue. Eli went over, got 10 out of 10 on the quiz for goal. That video went viral basically. It did really well. And then Goal had been very, very nice to us and invited us to the PFA Awards where Eli's had a few high profile interviews sort of thing. And at the minute, we're just trying to build a little bit of a portfolio for him. Just having some quality father-son time, going to the footy, and then obviously see what can happen. But we're living the dream at the minute, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. And Eli, what's the best thing about what you're doing at the moment?
Probably just going to the games and interviewing the players.
Yeah. Is it good spending that time with your dad then? Because for a lot of kids, that one-on-one bonding with your dad, it's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it just gets me some time watching the football and as well just spending time with my dad.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And looking at the current Scunthorpe squad then, who's your favourite player in that squad at the moment?
Ross Barrows, because he came through 780, which I play for as well.
Oh, that's interesting. And you interviewed Ross recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
How was that? How was that?
It was really good because he recognised me as soon as I got in the room because I did some Lincoln City interviews like the week before and he recognised me from it.
That's really cool. And Rob, has there been anybody helping there with any kind of tips, pointers, anybody coaching Eli other than yourself?
No, well, not really. I mean, obviously, we've been watching you guys and taking everything in as.
Oh dear, I can only apologise.
Yeah, so we've been watching a few people sort of thing, and then obviously it's a massively difficult market. I'm sure that you're all aware of sort of thing, but obviously. We've all been learning. I've been learning on like the editing side and bits and pieces like that, what's worked, and then obviously Eli's trying to work out what sort of questions sort of gets the best sort of response, and then obviously you've been trying to work out following up questions sort of thing. Obviously, you're only 11, aren't you? So it's not the easiest job in the world, but then. As you see, if you watched a couple over the last couple of months, there's been like follow-up questions and stuff like that, and obviously developing that and moving forward. So it's been well received, and fingers crossed it'll keep doing what it's doing, and then we can enjoy a few more football matches together.
You're absolutely smashing it, Eli. I mean, but like I say, I've been watching some of the videos in all. Like you say, that kind of skills really developing in the last couple of months. Some of those interviews, like you say, it's that ability to then follow up with another question and just it looked like a natural conversation. It's really cool, man. Looking at the players that you've interviewed so far, so not just Scunthorpe United ones, but we can see some Sheffield Wednesday shirts in the background there as well. Who's your favourite player that you've ever interviewed?
Well, best player is Haaland because it's just Haaland.
Bit of a name drop there, Eli. Just chucking that one in there.
And then you got Declan Rice, and then Joao Pedro.
I mean, that is some three-a-side team, that isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can compete with that, Eli. Whew. What are your plans for the future then? How far do you think you can take this?
So I feel like I could take it really far, but so what I would like to do is go on Gillette Soccer Saturday and do like Clinton Bolson's job.
Wow. Aim for the stars and all the rest of it. And Rob, what do you see Eli doing? Do you think that's an achievable target?
I'd like to. Obviously, I think it's gone a lot further than we've ever thought of, sort of thing. And we'll just take every day as it comes, sort of thing. Opportunities are like few and far between. But what we've noticed when when I'm posting the videos, it only takes one person with a little bit of a following, and then the views like skyrocket, sort of thing. So we'll just keep doing it, having fun. There's no pressure. Obviously, we'll keep adding to it like CVs and keep having a look on like our CV sort of thing, and just having a look, and then obviously we'll see where it takes us, sort of thing, and we'll just enjoy the ride as long as it lasts, sort of thing. So that's all it's about, sort of thing. We'd love it to a few more football matches together, but if it stops, it'll stop when it stops, sort of thing.
Finally, then, Eli, I mean, I don't want to put you under pressure here and put you on the spot, but it's Scunthorpe United are in a title race. They're in a promotion race. Do you think they're going to go up this season?
I think we'll go through the playoffs because Brackley, their only tough game for the rest of the season is Kidderminster at home, while we've got Hereford away last game of season, Kidderminster away and Chester at home.
Yeah, that's a good point, that. It's a good point. So if we get into the playoffs, do you think somebody might be lifting a trophy at Glanford Park and we might be in the National League next season?
Yeah.
Beautiful. One word answer.
That's all we need. Fingers crossed that'll happen.
Right, well, thank you very much for your time, gents. Honestly, that was amazing. I think that's right up there with one of my favourite guests on the Iron Hour podcast. So wish you all the best of luck, Eli and Rob, for the future.
Thanks very much, mate. If you're there on Tuesday, give us a shout.
Of course we will. Up the iron.
Up the iron.
So the next guest we've got lined up for you on this podcast is Chris Walker from Friends of Pakati. Now, you might see Chris on Twitter or on the Facebook fans page often, promoting Friends of Pakati, and I often find myself wondering what exactly it is. So, what a perfect opportunity for Chris to come on today and tell us a little bit of information about it and a little bit of promotion, because I think they are involved in the Community Day on the 22nd of March for the Chester game. So, Chris, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks, Barrow. What about yourself?
I'm really good, thank you. So, Friends of Pakati, what's it all about?
Right. It stems from something I did a very long time ago, since I'm quite an old guy, really. But in 89, 90, and 91, I was working in Zimbabwe in a small rural secondary school called Pakati, through the auspices of VSO, Voluntary Service Overseas. So I'd gone out as a teacher, a maths teacher, to the secondary school, and it all stems from that, really. I was there for like 2.5 years in total. The last 2 terms, due to a set of unusual circumstances, I ended up being acting head of the school as well, which was a unique experience. And then I've been back to Zimbabwe several times through family, friends, and that kind of thing. And then in 2018, I went on a holiday there and returned to the school for the first time in quite a long time. And that was a great experience. The head at the time showed me around the school. We talked about things that had changed, things that were the same. And I've asked him about what developments he wanted to see at the school. And he said one word, which was computers. And since then, that's what I've been trying to do, is to get computers, get them out to the schools. Because we also decided to do a joint thing with the Pakati Primary School, which is the main feeder school to the secondary. And we've been successful. Particularly last year, we managed to get 20 computers out to the schools with all the kit. And we've managed to get a few more prior to that. And every time I go, it's a great experience. It takes me back. I feel like going home almost. So yeah, that's what it's about. Friends of Pakati who are happy to help me get the things out to the school. We send football shirts as well, which is where Scunthorpe United have come in. They've donated quite a few things in the past.
There's a lot of people involved, I guess, that have helped you raise money. I think I'm just having a quick look on the website, and I think Brad Mel from our friends on the Iron Brew podcast. He's done a lot with you, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he does he's the host of the podcast that we do for Friends of Pakati, which is really kind of him. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. And he's donated me a signed shirt, which is framed, and it's from the 2010-2011 season. So to raffle off on the day, or auction, depending on what we decide might be the best for it. Because we did something similar on the open day last year. Where we had somebody gifted us one, and we raised over £100 just from the shirt from raffling, and that was good. So it's good of Mel Bradley to put that up for us. I collected it off him on Saturday.
And
so,
how often do you do that podcast then?
He approached me about it actually.
Really?
He took a bit of a sabbatical from the Brew podcast for a while, and decided to sort of branch out and try and do one of the other things himself. And then he asked me if I'd like to try something like that, and I thought, yeah, sure, why not? So we've done quite a few podcasts, we've done a handful of vlogs as well, and they seem to be quite popular. So, and we've got some more lined up to record on Tuesday, I think. So
that's really cool. That's really cool. So, in terms of what you've done so far, have you got any kind of, like, maybe not a financial figure, but anything? How many computers have you sent over? How much equipment have you sent over so far? And what's the target?
The target is kind of endless, really. It's whatever we can find, because there are other schools in the area not too far away who could probably benefit if we do get some more. So if we get some new ones, then we send the new ones to Pakati, and they can give them to other local schools not far away. And then at least it's developing the whole area, not just one part of it. In terms of what we sent already, the first time I went, I think I took, I think it was 8 PCs and 2 laptops. So there were 5 items to each of the 2 schools. That was in 2019. Then in 2022, we got donated a load of Chromebooks, and that, strange enough, that was through Brad Mel as well. His mum works at a primary school, and they donated them to us, and they were literally unopened. They were brand spanking new.
Wow!
So we took them up. Yeah, I think there was about 9 or 10 of them, something like that. So we took them out, and then, like I said, last year we got this sort of 20 donated by a company that one of the Scunthorpe fans works for. She approached me, having seen the stall on the open day, and then she approached me and see if we wanted to get involved, and we did. And we went to the company she works for. It's called Tronox, based in something not far from Birmingham, and they were wonderful. They helped us with the packaging. They helped us transport the goods to the shippers that we use, which is a company based in Leicester. So really good.
That's awesome. Finally, then, obviously, we've got the Community Day on the 22nd of March. That bumper fixture, top of the league fixture against Chester City. An exciting day. And I believe you'll have a stall there?
Definitely. Yeah, I've been in touch with Glenn Sparks, and he sent me the invitation the other day. So obviously I've said yes, please. So I'm looking forward to that. We're looking to see if anybody's got any football shirts they're happy to donate, so that we can either sell or raffle or auction or whatever, and anything we can't sell, we'll probably ship out to the schools in some way. Also, if anybody's willing to give me a hand on the stall during the day, I think it was running from about 12 o'clock probably till about 2:30. So yeah, anybody wants to pop by and say hello and that kind of thing. Obviously, we're accepting cash donations. We do have two online donation pages, as well as a PayPal and a GoFundMe page. So if you want, I can send you all the various links to that. And the thing that you mentioned earlier, what we're raising money for at the moment is because of the situation of the school itself. The power that's available is only at the teachers' houses at the moment. And they've got some solar power, but that's limited. So we're trying to get them connected to the local national grid, which is the Zimbabwe electricity supply authority or agency. And then it costs about 500 quid, apparently, to $500 to do the connections to the schools, because it's up to all the buildings and all the rooms, and at both schools. And then once we've got that, so that they've got regular power, then the next thing is raising money for Wi-Fi for both schools as well. And apparently the most likely suspect will be Starlink for that. So those are the two main things we're trying to do. And obviously, we send these computers out, and there's only a limited amount of things they can do with them at the moment. So the more we can get power to, and then Wi-Fi to, the better they'll be for the schools.
No, of course, that makes a lot of sense. So thank you very much for your time. That was Chris Walker from Friends of Pakati. Any final message for Ayton fans?
Yeah, I mean the Aon fan, I must say, they've been fantastic in helping over the years. I've had lots of donations, lots of help of various sorts, including Simon, the guy who does the football shirts, and even Mr. Swan. It's not all bad. When I actually did a walk from Bradford to Scunthorpe with my youngest son and his girlfriend at the time to raise funds, and at the end of the journey, we arrived for a meal before the game between Scunthorpe and Bradford, and Swanee sort of got me to come up in front of everybody and announce that whatever we raised by the end of August that year, he would match. And he led up to his word. He donated something. It was something like £1,400. But yeah, so it's been really good. Lots of help through the old programs. Lots of help through the local media stuff. The papers and the BBC Sports team have been really good. So yeah, it's good.
Thank you very much for your time. And that was Chris Walker from Friends of Pakati. Well, that wraps up the INL podcast for this week. A huge thank you to our sponsors, Best Blanks Wholesale, of course, supplying us with all the merch that you see these days. Fantastic, fantastic company, and we're so privileged to be connected with them. So we'll see you all at Alfreton, and let's hope for 3 points and even a return to the top of the table. Up the iron.
I'm Scunthorpe till I die. I'm Scunthorpe till I die.